know what? I don't like the cold, and it is freezing here today. I got the first snow of the year here, and it wasn't very fun. It's still coming down pretty heavy. It's still going to accumulate, and it's not going to be fun. Somebody who works outside quite a bit of the day, going in and out of stores and stuff like that, it is not a fun thing to do because you get hot, cold, hot, cold. It's a good way to get sick. Luckily, I pretty much have an immunity to everything, it seems like, as I am around things that would generally get me sick, being my kids or people in public and all the germs that are anywhere on the floors or anything I touch all day. So, luckily, I shouldn't get sick, but the cold is still not fun to deal with. So, today is episode number 2 of the Swiss Army Man podcast. This one will be probably a little shorter one. We're just going to knock these things out. I had some thoughts on some things. Like I said, I want to do these more daily. And today is going to be a fun one. So, we have the WNBA Finals, Game 5 tonight with the Mystics and the Sun. And it is going to be awesome. Winner take all. Played in D.C., where I hope the Mystics win. If you're not following the WNBA, I highly encourage you to check out the game tonight. It's on, I believe, ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Like I said, it is a championship game. The winner wins the title. You can't have much more excitement than that. To add to that, you got cool storylines. Courtney Williams and her dad are just super awesome. Like watching that thing, being a dad, especially having a daughter who plays basketball and wants to play in the WNBA at some point. It's cool to watch that relationship and how awesome it is that her dad's there to support the hell out of her and pump her up. So that's been a cool storyline. Natasha Cloud for the Mystics, guaranteed a victory on home court. Hoping she comes through on that because, like I said, I'm a Mystics fan. That's my team. So that would be super awesome. Natasha Cloud's also my daughter's favorite player, so I like that she has that swagger, that she'll guarantee that. Alyssa Thomas on one of the front runners if the Sun win to go and probably be the MVP of the finals. Is playing with 2 torn labrums and just putting up great numbers. So much talent on the court. You got Elena Deladon playing with a herniated disc in her back. That's how much this stuff means to her. She was obviously the MVP of the entire season. And then you have like Emma Meesman, who is another front runner. If the Mystics win, possibly for MVP of the finals, having an electric final. I think you definitely really need these kind of games to like get people fired up for the sport of basketball for women. I know there's a lot of fans of the sport already, and it is a growing sport, and the numbers are showing that it is growing. Not growing as fast as I would like it. I would love it to be way bigger of a sport and more teams, and I would love to have a local team here in Colorado. That'd be great to go see, maybe if they were played in Denver, like the Nuggets or something like that, would be amazing. And I think as the talent level raises in the WNBA, you're going to get more of these games, and you're going to get more of the excitement and more people tuning in and more people really showing up to support. I was lucky enough on my recent trip to Virginia to go check out a Mystics game, and I can tell you the arena there was awesome. Like, the energy inside was great. All the fans were cheering, pumped up. One of the best experiences I've ever had going to a live sporting event. So if you're thinking about it, or if you have a team close next year, make sure you go check out a WNBA game. The talent on the court is super awesome. Great talent. A lot of great players in the WNBA and coming into the WNBA on a yearly basis. So go check those out if you're close to any of the cities that have them. Moving on from that, we have a couple of awesome quarterback matchups. I'll say awesome as in, I'm going to say interesting and awesome. So going on for week 6. So we'll start out with Thursday's game of the Patriots versus the Giants. You got Danny Dimes versus Tom Brady. This will be an interesting matchup, obviously, as the Giants and Brady have history of the 2 Super Bowl losses for Brady. at Eli's hand. Now you got Danny Dimes coming in, taking over the reins, and he's basically like the multiverse, like different dimension version of Eli Manning in looks, and just vanilla as it can be, it seems like. But he's played fairly well so far since he's come in. We'll see how he fares against Brady. Sometimes some teams just tend to give like certain teams trouble, and for some reason the Giants are one of those teams that seem to kind of play Brady somewhat close in a lot of the games that they've played. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, if that's an Eli thing or if that's a Giants thing. But it'll be really interesting to see that matchup. Obviously, Brady is probably the GOAT if you really want to go and be realistic. He's the amount of Super Bowls he's led his team to, the numbers he puts up, the ability to look like he's never going to have to retire because he's just going to never fully age and just be able to play forever. He'll probably go down as the greatest and probably hold that moniker for a long time. But moving on from that, we'll go to another matchup, which is Sunday, Mahomes versus Watson. And that can be an interesting one, as Mahomes might be one of the few people early in his career that has exhibited some signs of being able to maybe outpace Brady and put up some numbers and maybe be in that GOAT category. I don't know if it'll ever be able to come close to the amount of titles he has, but some of his numbers will probably be pretty astonishing, and his highlights will definitely be absolutely ridiculous. I see a lot of people talking about Deshaun Watson possibly being like a bigger story if it wasn't for Mahomes. So I think as these matchups go, you have to kind of temper your expectations here. But I know the Lamar Jackson and Mahomes turned out to kind of be a dud. But Mahomes-Watson seems like it would be the smartest line to take if you're looking at a possible future not rivalry, but like a Peyton Brady matchup going forward. These two seem to match up well on paper and look to be two of the more talented younger crop of quarterbacks. So definitely going to be an interesting one to watch there. And then last but not least, you got Monday Night Football. I had to pull it because I'm a Lions fan, but I think it actually is a really good quarterback matchup. And that is Rodgers versus Stafford. And what can you say? Stafford and Rodgers. I think most people would give Rodgers the upper hand, and that's perfectly fine and probably the most logical thing. But Stafford has a great skill set, and it's a little bit actually underrated at this point for some reason for the things that he does. I think a lot of people will hopefully see the Stafford that goes out and plays exceptionally well with that team on the cusp. I think every divisional game counts, especially in the NFC North this year. I think whoever has the best division record probably wins the division. That's just the way it's looking. And so these games are going to matter a ton, and Stafford's going to need to bring his A game. Rodgers is looking like he's clicking on all cylinders after the Cowboys game. So we should get hopefully a good shootout and see how that fares. Maybe get a huge numbers boost stat wise for both those guys. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a huge point total in that game. I know it's in Lambeau, and I know that Stafford for a while there was getting talked about as not playing well in Lambeau, but has done pretty well over his last couple there, and I expect him to do pretty much the same. Just depends on if he can outpace Rodgers and the Packers. So that's like the real big stuff that we got going on as far as sports go this weekend for sure. Those are the things that I find interesting. Cool quarterback matchups. I know it's a team sport and all, but to see some of those players play against each other, you don't get all too often or enough per se. The Rodgers versus Stafford one really interests me, obviously as a Lions fan, But I think in general, I think we might be coming to a time where if Stafford can come out and have a good game here, maybe he gets a little bit more talk. We'll see what Rodgers really has, and it could be an MVP quality season for him if he comes out and continues to play like he did last week. So it'll be very interesting. Like I said, Mahomes, Watson. Mahomes, interesting to see how he bounces back from the Colts loss, the loss to the Colts, and see if that puts a fire under him and maybe he wants to come out and just light it up, or if it'll be a tight game, or maybe the Colts gave a little bit of a blueprint on how to take him out. Is he even fully healthy? Is the ankle still messed up? All that kind of stuff we'll find out pretty soon. So look for those matchups. Those are going to be key matchups. The other thing I wanted to talk about here at the end is it is World Mental Health Day. So a little bit on a serious note, some personal, details that not everybody knows is not to get too heavy, hopefully, but my family has struggled with a lot of mental health issues and things that you really see people you care about go through a lot of tough times, whether that be PTSD or whether that be depression or bipolar or manic depressive. You just have a lot of things out there, and I've had a lot of that in my close family, and anxiety and all that stuff. It doesn't make you weak to talk about it. It doesn't make you weak to reach out to somebody. I do my best to all my friends and all the people close to me to reach out to them and make sure that they're doing good. I care about my friends and I care about people that are close to me, and I want to check in on them and make sure they're doing good and that they can know that it doesn't make them soft or less of a person to show vulnerability. And I think that's something that maybe if we all did, maybe we could erase some of the stigma of mental health. And that is something that would, I think, lead to a lot of people taking more care of themselves, and a lot of people finding the value in themselves, even though they may feel like they're damaged goods, or they don't have it all together, or they just can't kick this thing and it's unexplainable. So I know for my family, and I won't get too into anything else by anybody else, but it's something we've dealt with, and it's something that is sad to witness, and it's hard to witness, and it's tough to talk through somebody or to somebody through that feeling. It's a big hold that a lot of these things have on people, and for some reason some people are able to get out of it, and some people are able to move past it at certain points in their life, or to manage it, and that's all you can really hope for. I'll say this: I know a lot of the people who have mental health feel like the only option is to stop, and that's obviously talking about taking their own lives or hurting themselves. And when it comes to that, it's a tough one for me. I hate to see anybody do that. I hate to see anybody feel that helpless, and that comes from being there myself. When I was 18 years old, I tried to take my own life. I failed, thank God. By the grace of God, I had intervention that helped me stop in the midst of trying. Got a phone call from my brother, and that if it wasn't for that, I may not be here. But he didn't know what I was going through. I kept it a secret. I thought it made me weak. Thought things that were spiraling out of control in my life and causing me a lot of anxiety and depression were things that a 18-year-old college baseball player who was supposed to be tough and could make life be okay, couldn't handle. I thought the only option for me was that, and that's what led me to my decision to try it. And thank God I failed, and thank God that someone called and talked me through some of the things and got me to a better spot. Because I wouldn't be here, obviously, today. And it's a heavy time for me on that, dealing with that back. Like I said, at 18 years old, and I'm 36. I'm a whole lifetime away from that person who did that. But it's not something I don't think about when I think about friends that are reaching out to me to talk, or making sure I check on somebody that I know has these issues or is struggling with something. Really just takes kindness and openness and the ability to talk, and the ability sometimes for people to know that you're there to talk to, or a safe place. And it's something that I don't do perfectly all the time. I'm sure I have people that will say, sometimes you're not there. Sometimes you're not the person who just sits and listens. I really want to help everybody and solve people's problems in a lot of ways, and that sometimes that means I fall flat as the person helping, but I try to be there, and I try to be present, and that's something I think if we all did, I think we'd be in a better spot as the human race. So remember that as life goes on, you're going to deal with some hard stuff, and but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. It can get better, and be open. Find somebody that you can trust. Find somebody that you can talk to. Trust me, it doesn't make you weak to say those things to people, and it doesn't make you any less of a person. It means that you're struggling through something, and a lot of times when you're struggling through something, somebody else has a way to help you through it. So, or can be there to be support for you. So, reach out to somebody. Never hurt yourself. I will definitely always be an advocate of not taking your life. I think as most people are, but just it can get better, and it does get better. And I thought that 18-year-old me was looking forward and couldn't see a way out. I know how many other people could be the same way. So just know it gets better. I wouldn't have the wonderful life that I have now, the wonderful family that I have now, the happiness that I have in my life, even though my life's not perfect, because nobody's life is perfect. But I could have never guessed while I was drowning in that anxiety or that depression that it could ever be even close to this. So keep your head up, and remember that there's always people out there to talk to. So if you know somebody who's struggling with it, or if you are somebody who's struggling with it, make sure you reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, go seek therapeutic help. Find a way for you, because I guarantee you some way will work and some way will help, and someone will be there for you. So on that note, we're going to end today's podcast, but I wanted to make sure I touched on all those things, and especially that last one. It was really important for me to get that in there. There's always a way out, and there's always a way to feel better, and there's always somebody there willing to listen and be there for you. So on that, we're going to end episode number 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you tomorrow.